Hello, everyone. I'm James Singleton, founder of Insightful Voice, a coaching and professional development company creating customized plans for people who are afraid to move forward, but more afraid to stay where they are. I'm so excited to share in this brief presentation 3 tactics you can use to begin to move forward from any place in your life where you feel stuck and start achieving your goals today. So does this sound familiar? You've identified a goal, a dream, or an aspiration. You've thought about it, you wrote it down, you've talked about it, possibly ad nauseum, but you're just not moving towards it for some reason or another, or you're having trouble starting or staying motivated. So this is not from the very beginning, thinking of a goal. We're talking about the beginning of action. Whatever the aspect of life, finances, relationships, job, career, starting your own business, the tactics that I'm going to deliver to you today and that you will walk away with will be applicable to any of these aspects of life. So first, let's talk about 2 things that typically happen when you attempt to begin. Usually we get overwhelmed with the details. We're asking how all the time. How will this turn out in a relationship? How will they feel about me? What will I say to start the conversation? How do I show my value or worth if we're starting a job? How will I ever learn to do this? If we're starting our own business, how will I convince someone to want what I have to offer? How much will this cost? All of the how questions. Or we get overwhelmed by the fear of failure. What if I make a mistake? What if I make a fool of myself? What if I get rejected? And out of all these questions, the most important one to start with is why. And that's where we begin with our 3 tactics. It leads us to our first one. Simply start with why. Think big picture to motivate your actions to move you forward. Think with the end in mind. The big question to ask is, why do you want to do what you want to do? That's an extension of starting with why. How does it link to your passion? Understand that you providing this reason will turn your beginning into a service. And then the focus becomes about how you can help others and not just yourself. We all know that sometimes people find themselves achieving goals that are just empty. My favorite author, Wes Adamson, says, find something that you are passionate about in making a difference, and you'll find a waiting kinship of people willing to unite for the cause. So how do you get there, this vision that Wes has laid out for us? Consider developing a personal mission statement. It focuses on what you want to be and do. It is your plan for success. It reaffirms who you are, puts your goals in focus, and moves your ideas into reality. Again, another way to start with why. And then and only then are you ready to ask how you will move forward with accomplishing your goals. And then you will be able to identify the steps it will take. So we start with why, and now we go to the second tactic. Building a team. And you will see that these tactics are really about changing the way you think about the beginning. When we talk about building a team, we know that one person never succeeds alone. It's always with the help of others. When I started a business, I formed a committee of my former bosses. I called them my leadership. And on major decisions like business name, mission statement, value proposition statement, they chimed in with their thoughts. Their expertise and context of their past work with me helped inform their opinions and advice. Plus, their desire to invest in my dream was because of their desire to see me succeed. However, it was my dream, so no matter what, I had the final say. It was just easier to get there with their help. That's starting a company. What about getting unstuck from unhealthy relationships? Is building a team really applicable? I would say yes. The team may just not be as big, or you may want to identify a sole peer or mentor. So for example, if you want to move out or into a relationship, don't continue to talk to your single friends about how to do it. If you have aspirations to start or enter into a relationship, talk with someone who has been in a partnership for at least 1 year. Focus on their lessons learned instead of what's not currently working with them. And ask them things like, where did you meet? Or what has kept you engaged in the relationship? What about managing your money, trying to get out of debt? I know some of you are hesitant to share your personal financial situation with a whole team. Since finances are private for most, you can consider a number of online resources that will help you. These financial resources can help you become more aware of your financial goals and current situation. Most importantly, these conversations can also prepare you to have a healthy, honest, and open conversation with yourself about your financial situation. That's what it's really all about. And even though it's not a team of people, you can still lean on a team of resources. So we start with the why, then we build a team, and finally, the third tactic is to defy the naysayers, including yourself. Eventually, as you begin to get unstuck, you will encounter reminders that may try to drive you back to where you came from. Just don't go. Stay focused. You've done the hardest thing, which is to begin. Reward the small steps. Understand that the small steps will lead to bigger steps, and eventually leading you to accomplishing your major goal. Remember to always dwell in the process. Remind yourself that everything worthwhile takes time. This is First Lady Michelle Obama, and she said this in a recent talk to a crowd of young adults. The only thing that happens in an instant is destruction. Build something. Earthquake, it's gone. But everything else requires time. Raising children, building a family, having a career, all of it takes time. Sometimes we move so fast, we don't take time to recognize our accomplishments. So how do we do that? I've got 3 quick tips for you. 1, begin a success journal. Keep track of what you've done that moves you closer to your goals and to your dreams. As I said before, we don't take adequate time to reward ourselves for our accomplishments. Yet we spend 2 weeks not sleeping thinking about some bullshit mistake we made that everybody has possibly already forgotten about. So start by beginning a success journal. One thing that I do is I do a mantra. This is mine. Instead of what do I have to lose, it's what do I have to gain. And this really helps me stay focused and present, especially when those old reminders of mistakes and failures creep into my mind. Finally, return to why. That's how we started this brief presentation. Returning to why, keeping in mind why you're doing what you're doing. And let this be your motivation as you finally begin to move forward. And that's it. 3 tactics that I guarantee will help you get unstuck and help you successfully begin pursuing your goals. If you're interested in moving from beginning to achieving a dream or a goal, send me an email. I'd love to help out. I offer a free consultation and a free session where we complete a vision blueprint. This is used to help explore what is holding you back from accomplishing your goals. Or if you want to figure out the very beginning, asking questions. What am I on earth to do? What is my passion? Is this as good as it gets? I'm happy to help you with that too. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time, and thank you for investing in your success.